Hey everybody, this is your GM, your bad girl Domus, your GM who currently is not on the team right now, but don't you worry about it, Kale, here to bring you episode 5 of the Stack and Shed series. Now, in this series, we're going to cover all 32 teams, so nobody is neglected, everybody gets a turn, and we're going to be covering a few different topics. And those topics include what went wrong, what do they need, stack or shed, their draft picks, one move I would do, and their cap space. Okay, now in this episode, we're talking about the Cardinals. So for all my Cardinals fans, buckle up. It's going to be a little bit controversial because we're talking about quarterbacks. All right, let's get into it. So, what went wrong in the Cardinals season? And I would venture to say was inconsistent quarterback play. Now, I was thinking Kyler Murray was going to come into the season, silence all the naysayers and critics, and prove why he is still one of the better quarterbacks in this league. But I was also under the impression that if Kyler Murray didn't play well this past season, that the Cardinals were going to pivot and take a quarterback in the 26th draft class. Because at that time, you had names such as Fernando Mendoza, Dante Moore, Lenora Sellers, Drew Aller, Cade Klubnik, Garrett Nussmeier, Taylor Green, and others that were going to be available in the draft class. Now, Jacoby Brissett comes in and he hops into the roller coaster ride that is the season and experiences highs and lows. Now, his lows were really bad, but his highs were okay. And I literally mean okay. In the 13 games that Jacoby Brissett played, he was 485 attempts for 315 completions, 3,366 passing yards, 23 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 6.9 yards per attempt, and a 64.9 completion percentage, which isn't bad, right? Now, when we look at the offensive rankings for the Cardinals this past season, they had the 19th ranked offense and they averaged 20.9 points per game, 325.8 yards per game, 5.2 yards per play, and 38 touchdowns. They were 7th in passing offense and they averaged 232.6 passing yards per game, 5.6 passing yards per play, and 29 passing touchdowns. They were 31st in rushing offense and they averaged 93.1 rushing yards per game, 4.3 rushing yards per play, and 9 rushing touchdowns. Now, with that being said, what do the Cardinals need? And that is stability at quarterback. Now, unfortunately, that's not going to happen this offseason. So what do the Cardinals do at this point? Do you run it back with Jacoby Brissett for one more year? Do you maybe hope and pray that Ty Simpson falls out of the first round and maybe you take him in the second round? Do you take a swing at Cade Klubnik? Do you take a swing at maybe Garrett Nussmeier? Do you try to bring in a veteran quarterback who has ties with Mike LaFleur? All of these options should be on the table right now for the Cardinals because at this point, what you need to be aiming for is taking a quarterback in the 27 draft class. Now, I understand that everybody said that this draft class was supposed to be the draft class where all the quarterbacks come out. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So if you're the Cardinals, you need to figure out what can we do to at least put a band-aid at quarterback. Even if it means that you run it back with Jacoby Brissett for 2 more years, it's not going to hurt you. Because at the end of the day, it's a low-risk, high-reward move. And you saw how well he worked with Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, and Michael Wilson. As long as Jacoby Brissett can win you a couple more games than what you won last year, I think that's not a problem. Because at the end of the day, Jacoby Brissett's floor is maybe, I don't know, the 25th to maybe the 31st best quarterback in the league. And his ceiling is maybe the 20th to maybe the 15th best quarterback in the league. That's not bad because, again, your expectations going into this next season is very low because you're trying to get a quarterback next year. Now, I'm not saying that you need to go 0-18, but you can win you a couple of games. You can have a little bit of momentum, just a little bit, not a whole lot. Now, with that being said, the question we all need to ask ourselves is stack or shed. And I would venture to say stack, and that's mainly in part because this team has some pieces. All they need to do is find a franchise quarterback. Now, I'm not trying to make it seem like finding a franchise quarterback is like picking an apple from a tree. And I understand that it takes some time and a lot of homework to do that. But everybody knows that once you find your franchise quarterback, the roster construction process becomes a whole lot easier. And make no mistake, this team has some talent. You have an emerging star in Michael Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. You have Trey McBride, who is a top 10 tight end in the league right now. Now, with the defense, you have some emerging stars on that side of the ball. But all you have to do is just continue to build this roster up. And I know it's going to take some time. And I know fans are not happy with it. And I understand that ownership isn't happy with it. But building a roster takes time. This is not an overnight thing. This is not something that you can just snap your fingers and everything is fixed. This requires a lot of time, especially when you're about to go through a transition from having a franchise quarterback to looking for your next franchise quarterback. That is a difficult process. There are certain teams right now that are still going through that process right now. The Steelers are still trying to find the heir to Ben Roethlisberger and have been unsuccessful in doing it. But that's because of other reasons, which we're not going to get into this episode right now because this isn't about the Steelers, it's about the Cardinals. By hiring Mike LaFleur, you're bringing in somebody who comes from a successful tree and developing quarterbacks with Sean McVay. So we all know that he has some foundational understanding on how to develop a quarterback. So I think as long as Mike LaFleur doesn't mess up the next franchise quarterback, I think this team is going to be in a really good spot. However, if he butchers that move, the fan base and the organization will never forgive him for it. Now, with that being said, when we look at their draft picks, they have their first, their second, their third, their fourth, their fifth, their sixth, and seventh. Now, the question is this. Should the Cardinals address the interior offensive line or get a right tackle when you know that the right tackle class is pretty good? Now, I'm not saying it's legendary, like you're going to get the next Trent Williams or Penei Sewell or whatever great tackle that you want to list, but I think getting a right tackle would shore things up a little bit more. Now, with that being said, the one move that I would do is move on from Kyler Murray. According to Spotrac, if a team trades for Kyler Murray, they're only on the hook for guaranteed money for this year at $36.8 million. After that, all of his other money isn't guaranteed. By moving off of Kyler Murray, the Cardinals are saving $34.7 million in cap space, but only taking on $17.9 million in dead cap, which isn't bad. But here's the kicker. Kyler Murray is owed a $17 million roster bonus on March 15th when $19.5 million of his $27 salary is guaranteed. So that's where things get a little bit complicated. Now, if you're the Cardinals, what would it take for you to move off of Kyler Murray? Because at this point, you can't ask for a first or a second round pick. At best, you can maybe ask for maybe a third or fourth, and maybe even a fifth round pick, because the other team is still inheriting a contract that most likely they're going to have to adjust in some capacity, or they're going to have to give him an extension to maybe lower the cap hits to some degree. Now, if you're a team that needs a quarterback, how high is Kyler Murray on your list? Because outside of the veteran quarterback options, all you have is Tua, Daniel Jones, which we all know he's going to go back to the Colts, and Kyler Murray. Now, sure, you can try to see if you can pluck Mac Jones from the 49ers, but I can tell you right now, that's not going to be successful. And even if it is successful, the 49ers are going to drive up his price, and they're probably going to demand a second-round pick for Mac Jones. Are you going to be willing to give up a second-round pick for Mac Jones, knowing that you're going to have to pay him market value money? We all know that the belle of the ball this year is Malik Willis. And we all know there's only going to be a few teams that are really going to be interested in getting Malik Willis. And if you're Kyler Murray, where's the best place for you? Do you believe that if you go to the Steelers, your player is going to be elevated? Do you believe that if you go to the Dolphins, your player is going to be elevated? Do you believe that if you go to any of the places that needs a quarterback right now, that you're going to be able to elevate that offense and prove that you are still one of the better quarterbacks in this league right now, and that you're more than just a bridge quarterback? Now, the Cardinals have $44 million in cap space, which isn't bad, but they can create more cap space if they trade away Kyler Murray, they cut a few people, and they restructure some deals. Now, I don't expect the Cardinals to be big players in free agency, but I do expect for them to make at least 1 to 2 significant signings. After that, they'll probably make some smaller tier signings, maybe people that are trying to compete for a roster spot or players that are trying to reunite with a coach. Now, do I expect for them to get someone like a Alec Pierce or George Pickens or Trey Hendrickson? No. But I think maybe that second to third tier in free agents will be where the Cardinals make their mark at. But I'm going to end this episode here. If you guys like what you're listening, please make sure you guys leave a 5-star review on anywhere and everywhere that you can listen to podcasts, all right? We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and a few other places. Now, if you want to access those other places, Go on Google, type in rss.com Football Junkies Podcast. It should be the first link. When you click on that link, it'll take you to our rss.com page where you can listen to this podcast on your online browser, okay? And when you click on the listen to box, it'll give you a plethora of different places where you can listen to this podcast on, all right? Now you can follow us on YouTube at Football Junkies Pod. Football Junkies Pod. Now we have a link tree in our bio. When you click on that link tree, it'll take you to anywhere and everywhere that we have Football Junkies content, okay? Now make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, turn that notification bell on, leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on anything and everything that I have covered in this episode and previous episodes. Am I right? Am I wrong? Let's talk about it, okay? Now for my Instagram people, Football_Junkies Pod. Football_Junkies Pod. Junkies Pod is not what? It is together, not spaced, okay? It is together, not spaced. Football_Junkies Pod. You can follow me on TikTok at Football Junkies Pod. Football Junkies Pod. I got some more clips I got to post. Just got to give me some time, all right? Now, you can follow me on Blue Sky at GM Kale. GM, M as in morning, Kale, Kaile, all right? You can follow me on Twitter at GM Kale. GM, M as in morning, Kaile, all right? As always, I hope I give you guys the fix that you guys need. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys so much. Stay tuned. There's more on the way. And as always, this is your GM Kale signing out. Peace and love. Later, guys.